I got a very special guest coming on today. This has got to be one of the most tragic, saddest stories that I've come across thus far. And I mean, I've heard a lot of different wild stories of when somebody gets incarcerated, but this one right here, I got to tell you, it's probably the most tragic. This is my man Donald Davis. He's coming out of Nevada. He's done several terms. But the last time that he was incarcerated was the one that really defined where his direction in life was going to go, because, I mean, it's sad. I'm going to let him tell it to you. So everybody, welcome Noodles to the show. What's cracking, Noodles?
How you doing, Big JD? It's an honor to have to be here on the show with you.
It's an honor to have you, brother.
All right, so my name's Donald Lee Davis. I'm from Carson City, Nevada. I'm 35 years old, 9-time felon, 3 prison incarcerations, probably close around to 13, 14 years incarcerated. You know, not all prison time. Majority of it was. A lot of it was county too. So, let me start the story off with just giving praise to my mom and the woman that she was, and giving her respect. And I love her more than anything. She knows that. And so I'm going to jump it off right now with the very last visit I had with my mom was on a Sunday. And it was a typical visit. I've been doing a lot of time with her, and she came in and we had kind of a hot discussion about me not wanting to take probation and a rehab. And I just wanted to do my time and get out. And she really had to put her claws in me and really break it down. And she just let me know, I don't want to bury my son before, you know what I mean? The moms aren't supposed to bury their kids. So I need you to change. And she wanted me to go to that rehab. She said, if you don't go to that rehab, it's because you don't want to change. So I need you to go to that rehab so I know that you're going to be a good father and you're going to be there for your daughter. And so I had to bite the bullet, and I said, all right, I'll go to that rehab. I'll do it for you. And the visit concluded. And this is a really important part right here, is me and my mom growing up always had a thing, you know, visiting each other through glass, that she'd put her hand on the glass and she'd say, son, higher than the highest sky. And I'd put my hand on that glass. I'd say, Mom, deeper in the deepest ocean, you stay safe. And I left. That was the very last thing I ever said to her. So I'm lucky for that. And that was on a Sunday. So Thursday rolls around. I call her. I make sure she's going to call and schedule the visit for the next Sunday. That was a Thursday afternoon. She confirms it. She's going to do it. Okay. So I hang up. I go, you know, spend my time on the block, whatever. And Sunday rolls around and she don't show up. And I wasn't really stressing it, JD. I wasn't really stressing that she didn't show up, because I've done a lot of time with her and she gets busy and stuff. So I gave it a couple days and I started calling and she wasn't answering. And that's what caught my eye. So I called my dad, and Dad answers the phone, and I say, hey, Pops, what's up? Where's Mom at? You know, just all, you know, I'm not thinking nothing crazy. Hey, Dad, where's my mom at? Tell her to answer the phone. He said, hey, I can't find your mom. So, boom. What? Well, what do you mean? Where's her phone? Where's her clothes? Where's her purse? It's here at the house. Okay. So what do you mean you can't find my mom? He said, we got into an argument Thursday night, which was a couple hours after our phone call, with mine and her phone call. So got into an argument that night. I went down to my friend's house, and when I came back, she was gone. I thought maybe she left me, and I don't know what to think right now. So I'm ashamed of it, but I hung up on him because I didn't know what to think. I hung up, and I was thinking the worst. My head just went all different directions, and I gave it about 3 days, and on the third day, a deputy comes in the unit, pulls me aside, and he says, hey, Davis, man, you need to call your dad. You need to call your dad. He wants to talk to you. He's worried that you hate him. He's worried that you're blaming him for something. Call him back. And still, you know, no sign of her, no nothing. So, you know, I make the typical phone calls to my child's mother and different people and trying to get information, and I basically just couldn't get no information. So I'm sitting in there. Finally, I get pulled out by Lyon County homicide detective Marty Deuce. Shouts out to him. Good man. And he's the one that told me. He said, your mom's been missing since Thursday. I know that you talked to your dad. I know you have a little information. I'm here personally to tell you that she's probably gone, but I'm gonna find her personally. I have a suspect. I have someone in my eyes. It's a close family member of yours, and that's all the information I can give you because it's a homicide investigation. So he told me that, and I fell apart, man. I begged him right there, just man to man. I begged him, find her. Whatever you got to do to find her, bring her to me. I want her back.
So they hadn't found her by this time, right?
No, it took 18 days to find her.
Wow, man.
So I go back to the unit, and I'm not eating, I'm not sleeping, I'm stressed. 2 weeks into it, and 2 weeks into it, there's no information. There's nothing coming in. There's a little bit of stuff, but it's just, I'm locked in there, man, and all I got are phone calls. So I'm just stressed, and 2 weeks into it, I accepted the fact that she was probably gone. I accepted everything, and like I was telling you, when my light went out that night, remember I was telling you, and it started strobe lighting on me. And I found comfort in that, and that sounds weird, but I found comfort in it, and I just felt like that was her telling me to relax, telling me, telling her son that she's all right. So, excuse me one moment. And so yeah, I think it was like 2 more weeks goes by, and finally they call me out of the unit. Hey, Davis, go to booking. And I knew right then. So I sucked it up. I went down there. Marty said, hey, I promised you that the next time you seen me, I'd have your mother. And we found her. We've arrested your uncle. He basically called your aunt and admitted to it because they had over 500 people, citizens, search and rescue, everything, scouring this area that I'm in. So I think he felt it closing in. So he called my aunt with the story and thought that was going to save him. And I was waiting on going to rehab at that time when she was found, and they had put all that on a hold. They told me straight up, we can't let you out with your history and with what's going on. We just can't do it in good faith and good mind.
So it was your uncle, your blood uncle that had killed your mother when you were on the inside, right?
It's not blood. It's when I was 12 years old, my mom married my dad, and that's who I accepted as my father. I don't know my real father. I've never met him. I don't know his name. And it was his brother. So, I mean, I don't know the math right off the top of my head. My dad was with my mom for 25, 30 years. And so that man was my uncle, yeah. Not by blood, but.
So that it wasn't her brother. It was her like brother-in-law. In other words, your uncle.
Yes. And,
man.
Yeah.
Please continue. I'm at kind of a loss for words right now.
Okay. So 18 days into it, they find her. They give me the scoop. They finally let me go to the rehab. I stayed in that rehab because I told my mom in that last visit that I would. I didn't want to. I wanted to go medicate myself. I'm an ex-heroin addict, as you know. And that's how I usually cope with emotions and things that I can't handle. That's all I knew, I'm better now. I don't do that now, but back then. But I stayed in that rehab because I told her I would. And when I got out of that rehab, they sent me to a halfway house in Reno. I'm in the halfway house, and I did the only thing I knew how to do because I didn't care if I lived or died at that point. So I went out and I just wanted to be numb, and I didn't want to feel anything, and I didn't want to build any kind of friendships or relationships with anybody. I just gave up, and I put, I put that needle back in my arm, and I just found comfort in my drug addiction. I got pulled over in Carson City because I was obviously running from drug court, and I got sent, you know what I mean, for the original charge that I was arrested on. I had to do that time, so I did that time, and during that time that I was on the run, I had slept with an ex-girlfriend of mine, and who I am now with in a faithful relationship. We have a 3-year-old daughter together. So in that time when we slept together, I'm in the penitentiary, fellas. You know how it is. You know, I get a letter from a girl, this baby, it's yours. And at first I was like not trying to hear it. I was still in that mind state of destruction, and I didn't care about myself or anyone else. And after a little time thinking about it, I said, you know, I gotta let all that go, because I'm dishonoring my mom by not taking care of that child or claiming that child. And that's the one thing my mom wanted me to be, was a good father and to represent how she raised me. So I wrote a letter back and named my kid. I got out, and I feel like, and this might sound a little, you know, off to some people, but I feel like God takes things from us sometimes to teach us things that we don't see at the moment. And he gives us something in return. And I believe that my 3-year-old being born and conceived at the time that she was, you know, brother, it's too many coincidences, you know what I mean, for it to be random. So
Is that your first child?
no, I have a 5-year-old that, when I caught the case, her mom was a little messed up. I have my 5-year-old in Texas, and her mom moved her out there while I was incarcerated, and I was really upset about that too. But at the end of the day, she had to clean herself up, and she had to do whatever she had to do by any means necessary to take care of Araya. So, you know, I'm not mad at her. I'm in contact with that baby and her. You know what I mean? So yeah, I have two children.
I mean, nobody can really blame you, Noodles, for. I mean, your mother was a victim of a homicide. You know, it's while you were incarcerated, and I don't know if anybody can totally like grasp the gravity of how much damage that can actually do to you. I mean, I'm trying to like maintain my composure right now, because
Never know.
Yeah, as I've said, I had a pretty good relationship with my mother at the end of my term. You know, we never really had. Excuse me, we never really had much of a relationship while I was growing up, because I'd been in and out of prison. But nobody could really blame you, man, because I'm pretty sure that the shock and the pressure. Were you able to like be out for the funeral and all that stuff like that?
Yeah, let me touch on that. So while I was in the rehab, we had a memorial service for her. She's cremated, so we didn't do a funeral. And they sent 2 Northern Nevada federal agents to pick me up from the rehab and escort me to the memorial for her. You know what I mean? So I got to be there, and I was good, you know. And I'm thankful for that last visit I had with her too, because I fully understand, like, some people don't even get a chance to say goodbye. You know what I mean? So I find comfort that last thing we ever said to each other was our little thing. So
So how long have you been, you know, narcotics free from heroin and stuff like that?
as old as my daughter, 3 years.
It's awesome, man. It's a huge accomplishment.
I I just couldn't die in vain, man. And I couldn't let her do the same thing, you know?
You know, it's funny because I experienced something similar to that, not with my mother. I think that when my father died, it had prepared me for losing my mother because I lost my father when I was in custody. I was in the CDC at the time, and I was pretty much in the SHU. I was doing a SHU program when he died, and I didn't get a chance to see him. I couldn't go to his funeral. The security risk and everything. I couldn't do anything. Like I couldn't even say goodbye to him or nothing. I was requesting that they bring me out before they pull the plug on him because he was in life support for many months and he wasn't going to make it out.
I'm sorry.
And I requested that they call them and that they put the phone up to his ear so I could at least tell him a few parting words. But me and my father, we had kind of a destructive relationship.
Yeah.
He if you know a little bit about my story, he pretty much was responsible for murdering a person who sexually abused me when I was a kid. So like when he died, it was like a piece of me died because I had witnessed, just how far a father's rage can go when their child is harmed,
No doubt.
And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because it didn't hit me at first, until about maybe 8 months later or something like that. It affected me, and it was the first time I really got on drugs in prison. I paroled high. I paroled high. I pissed dirty straight from the gate. Went on to the parole office, and they gave me a pass. They're like, all right, they put me in a drug program and everything, and because they knew I just got out, and so they put me in a drug program. I stayed in there. I was sober, clean and sober for about 30 days or so. Then I got kind of in a toxic relationship and just went on a sick one, and I've been in and out on violations ever since. But I know what you're saying, man, because I really didn't care anymore, man. I didn't care, and I'd lost sight of everything, man. I felt like that I was like a huge piece of shit because the things that my father did to right the wrongs, I felt that all the years later, it was like I blamed myself for watching him deteriorate mentally, because he fell pretty hard mentally.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's exactly this state of mind that I got into. I didn't care about anybody or anything, and I don't even know how to explain it to an audience that hasn't been through it. So I'm trying my best. It's just, I was probably the most dangerous then than I've ever been in my life. And I'm glad to survive that. Like you said, I'm not a victim. You're not a victim. We're survivors. I have a voice. You have a voice. My mother has a voice. And that's what this video is about, is putting out this message, and hopefully I'll save a life and do her justice. If I save one life, one person hears me, hears this story and makes a better decision today than they made yesterday, then I feel like I did her work. You know what I mean? So it's just...
tell us a little bit about the wait. Because you were incarcerated the whole time that you didn't know what was going on. Like, you explained to me that you were incarcerated this whole time before they even discovered your mom's body. And I've read the news report, and I'm going to leave a couple links in this video so others could read it. How long it took them to find the body and the factors around it. Touch on a little bit of what you were going through this whole waiting period while you were inside.
Okay, so, I talked about the first week. Well, that first week, I'll tell you about the first day. The first day I heard my dad say that to me, I had a buddy, shouts out to him. I'm not going to say his name. He's from MS. You know what I mean? But I had a really solid homie, and man, if it wasn't for that guy, people would have been dropping left and right on that cell block. You know what I mean? I'm not the most gangster or toughest. I'll never claim that. That's not what this is about. I don't tell stories to impress people or none of that. You know what I mean? It's if it wasn't for him, I would have either gotten myself very hurt or hurt somebody else and made that situation just so much worse. So I struggled those 18 days, not eating, just giving my trays away, just, you know, nibbling on cookies every now and then. I'm not sleeping. I think I slept in 18 days. I slept 8 hours, 9 hours realistically. It really got to the point where the sergeant in Carson City came in and unlocked my door and said, "Hey, you're free to go to yard and come back to your cell as you want." So shouts out to Gomez, and he just, you know what I mean? I don't even know, that 18 days was probably the worst time in my entire life, and I've been through some stuff. JD, you know, I told you about my first case with my friend and stuff, and I've been through some serious things in my life, and that was probably the most just, oh man, just traumatic. That's the only word I could use, traumatized. You know what I mean? And
yeah, I mean, to say the least, you know?
Yeah. You know, in that 18 days, though, I held on to faith. I held on to, I'm not a real big religious person. I'm not going to get on here and preach about that type of stuff, but I held on to faith that it was going to make some sort of sense in the end, you know, because during that 18 days, I really didn't know what was happening or going on. And I tried the best I could to just keep faith that, you know, I would get answers and that everything would fall into place. So
the whole time, let me ask you this. This is important. The whole time that you were going through this, did you know that she was probably deceased, or did you you know, did you go in denial and think that, oh, she's alive, I know she's alive?
It's really sad to say, but from the moment I asked those questions to my dad, and he told me that my mom was 63 years old. She had been with the same man, like I said, for 25, 30 years. She didn't stay the night anywhere. She's not, I don't know how to describe. She was a mother and a wife. She didn't go stay the night anywhere. She didn't go in somewhere and leave her phone at home for days. That's not at all who she was. So I knew from the moment I got certain information that she was gone. So my mind went straight into, I need her back. You know what I mean? And granted, my uncle still lived during this 18 days. My uncle, I think 2 weeks into it, was still living with my dad, and they had a blowout one night. My dad came, I won't put too much information out there, but he met my uncle in the kitchen, and he demanded answers, and he put his foot down, and he's, you know, and I don't blame him for waiting, and I don't blame him for anything, because if anything would have happened, you know, to my uncle, I wouldn't have my mom back. You know what I mean? That phone call to my aunt would have never happened. So, you know.
So he led them to where he put her, right?
Yeah. And fabricated a story that she attacked him with a .22 caliber pistol, and fabricated a story that when Lewis left, they got into a fight, and because it was a 45-minute time. Like, we have a good timestamp on it because my dad left for exactly 45 to 50 minutes and came back. And as he came back, my uncle was leaving with my mom in the back of the truck, and they crossed paths. And he said, hey, man, where you going? And my uncle said, hey, I got some things I got to handle. I got to go do some stuff. And my dad's expressed how, like, that guilt right there. So I know, as bad as I feel, I can't imagine what my father feels like. And, you know, just knowing his wife drove straight past him.
So your father was pulling up
As my
to
uncle
the
was
house,
leaving.
and your uncle was leaving, and your mother's body was in the bed of the truck.
Like this. Uncle, dad, windows, bed of the truck. She was back there. So within 20 feet. He was within 20 feet of his wife, my mother.
I'm sorry. Just give me a second.
Got a lot of love for you, Big JD, man. And I appreciate you, brother.
I mean, all I can really say is that I'm sorry. I mean, I don't really know what else I can say about that. It's just, man, you're a much stronger man than me, because, like, honestly, I don't think I would have been able to handle all that. I would have just went straight fucking plumb loco. It would have been. It'd have been all bad for this world, man. I would have went straight fucking bananas, bro. I can't, you know.
I did, and then I finally got to the point where I had to have a talk with myself, you know, and I mean, everyone's been in that environment, you know, most of the audience, so they understand when you're incarcerated, you kind of, I broke down and I fell apart, and then I had to keep my composure, you know. I didn't wear a smile or fake a smile or nothing like that, but I walked around with my head up, confident that I'd get her back and that I would have answers.
I mean, I just want to ask the viewers to just put yourself in Noodles' place for 1 second, because that's what I just did, and that's why I just couldn't control my emotions any longer, because I know what it's like to be trapped in those four walls, and anybody could say whatever the fuck they want to say.
You're damn right.
About, oh, well, you put yourself there, you made your bed, you lying, all that shit. And people could say that we're weak and that we're cowards and we're bitches because we get high, because we self-medicate and all that stuff like that. But just put yourself in his shoes for 1 second and think of being trapped by four walls that you cannot get out of. You can't just go running out into the street. You can't go to a park. You're trapped in the belly of the beast of the correctional system. And the only thing that the staff could do, the COs in this place, the only kind of comfort that they can give him is by leaving his door unlocked and telling him, go out to the yard whenever you want. And that's as far as he can go. I mean, I don't think people really understand what you could possibly be going through to know that your mother or your child or your uncle, your father, brothers or sisters have been murdered, and there's nothing you could do about it. There's no way that you can get out of that destructive environment. I mean, you're trapped in those four walls, and you are trapped in your head. You can't even like go to your family for comfort. There's no psychologist or doctor that's even qualified in those prisons to provide you with any kind of comfort, easement, or nothing. You are just trapped in hell.
Yeah, and I believe that fact right there made me a stronger man and a better father and husband, because I really was inside of my head in that cell, helpless, completely helpless. I can't even reiterate how helpless I felt. And I really had to get, if it wasn't for my all them years of incarceration, I don't know if I would have survived that situation. because I had to really sit down with myself and have a conversation about holding it together and staying focused and just, keeping my mind right. And it was really hard, you know what I mean? But I managed to survive it. And looking back, I don't see any other option besides the one that I chose right here. And I don't think there's another option for me.
And what was the mood of the fellas inside of there? Like, how were they like acting towards you? Were there a lot of people in there that were like bouncing off the walls with you, like for you? Was there a lot of support coming your way?
Hey, it's my hometown, and my county's kind of small. I knew I'm very well known in my county. Not saying that I'm a big shot or nothing like that. I'm just very well known. I'm in and out. So I had upwards of 10, 12 people I knew from the streets in there, and they were actually really supportive. They knew me well enough not to baby me or treat me like a victim, show me my respect, you know what I mean? And yeah, like I said, shouts out to my homeboy. He knows who he is. Walked laps with me all 18 days. Hugged me when I needed it. Sat me down when I needed it. Talked me out of going inside of someone's house for a stupid, minute reason. You know what I mean? And getting more time. And if it wasn't for those few people, just being there for me, having my back, I can't even express the love and respect that I was shown. You know what I mean? I didn't expect it. I did not expect people to but when it comes to a mother, I think that touches everybody. If you love your mom or you love your child, you understand the connection that me and her had. And I think they understood that too. So they supported me and they had my back, and they were just outraged that they wouldn't let me out. I was already on felony probation. I already been accepted to a program. They were just outraged, really flying. They were shooting kites to the sergeant, talking mess to him, all this stuff, because they wouldn't let me out to go see my mom, to go try to find her. But I have to understand the cops' point of views. I have violence in my record. I have gun charges. I have things in my past that can lead people to believe that in that situation, I shouldn't. And looking back, I am thankful. As crazy as it sounds very crazy. I'm thankful that I was in there for that 18 days because I got her back. If I was out there, I had it in my head who it was and what was going on. You know what I mean? In my head, it was made up. So, and there's no, no red light. There was no red light. There was no yield. It was go. It was go, 100%. So I'm thankful I was where I was at when it happened, because eventually it came out where she was, and I got her back. I was able to cremate her, spread her ashes in a lake in Northern California where she was raised, and spent a lot of her time out there in Grass Valley, Nevada City. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but there's lakes up there. I was able to, have the opportunity to spread her ashes. She told me years ago about this lake. I luckily, through all my addiction and bullshit, remembered it, and I was able to give her peace, and I know she's at peace. Sorry.
You're fine, brother. So you were in custody on a drug charge. You were actually delivering some heroin to somebody you knew, right? Who set you up? Is that what led you to your incarceration?
Yeah, let me tell you this story. So I meet this guy in the game. Don't know him from Adam from Eve. Don't really like him. My homegirl asked me to loan him some money so he can re-up and do his thing. I do it. I give him $250. I don't hear from him for like 3 weeks. All of a sudden, he's blowing me up. So I hit him back. What the fuck you want? Where's my money? You know what I mean? If you ain't got my money, don't talk to me. I ain't going to come look for you because I got other shit going on. If I beat up everybody that ripped me off or told on me, I'd be a very busy man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I said,
that's a fact.
Fucking straight up, what do you want, dog? He said, hey, man, in this motel room with this girl, she's hurting. I know you got that. Can you bring it? So you got my money, so I'll give you your money plus, you know what I mean, what we're getting from you. I said, okay. Go up in there, and this is a crazy part of the story. The luck, and I wasn't El Chapo. That's not what's going on, and I'm never going to claim that I was doing big things. I had some stuff on me. I ran into somebody I know in the casino. Because out here in Nevada, there's casinos. All the motels are hooked up to casinos, all the hotels. So I run into somebody I know, and man, this is crazy. I empty my pockets of everything besides what I'm going to take to the room up there. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I trusted this random person that I ran into that I know from the game, but I said, and it's weird. I said, hey, if anything happens to me, you take that and you go. You know what I mean? You can have everything in it, the phone, the money, everything that's in that beanie you can have. And hey, they made out because I didn't come back. I walked in the room, and I should have known because the bed was made. There was like 3 sodas on the thing. There was an adjoining room door on the room. But when the door slammed behind me and I actually took in what was going on, it was too late. He was already, it was so funny. He put the money out like a banker on the bed. He's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, you know what I mean? And so I scooped it up, and I was so I already knew I was busted. Let's get that out there. I knew right off the bat. If you slang and you're watching this, you know when you're cracked, you're cracked. It was time. So I snatched that money. I made my way for the door. I was just like, man, I'm gonna try to run. And they came through that. They came through all directions. Boom! And these are task force officers that have known me for years, so they didn't play. You know, they didn't play. It was slammed, hogtied. You know what I mean? Knee on the throat, the face. They're digging their elbows in me. And this dumbass lays down too, like he's in trouble. And I can see he lays down on that one side of the bed. They slammed me and did all that to me on that side of the bed. And I could see him through under the bed. And I just looked at him. I said, man, you proud of yourself? I said, really? 1 point? I mean, you couldn't go, you know, what'd you get caught with? A 15 sack? You can't go do a 1 to 6, 1 to 4. I think you need to change lanes then. You can't handle it. You know what I mean? Whatever. I said, I'll see you on the flip side. You know what I mean? And, you know what I mean? He's reached out to me. And was like, I feel like killing myself and all this stuff because of what happened. I never fathomed that when I put you in there, that would happen. And I don't message. I don't harbor like I said, if I went around and beat up and did all that shit to everyone that's ever told on me or did me wrong, I'd be so busy. You know, I'm not even going to fabricate shit like that. I don't have no contact with him. I ignore him. I didn't send him a fuck you, nothing. He reached out to me, and I erased the message and forgot about it, and that's where that stands.
Did you harbor a lot of resentment towards him? Like, you know, like, did you ever have the feeling like it's your fault, man? You know what I mean? Like if you were just out, I mean, who knows what would have been different, right? Have you ever had those thoughts?
I got a phone call one night from a homegirl, and she was in a Dottie's, and she said, hey, I got dudes sitting right across from me. And I told her, hey, I'm going to hang up. And I hung up. Because I know that if I go along with those thoughts, I want to be here for my 3-year-old. So how I think as a father, you know, the street me, the old me, man, he's responsible for that. You know, blame. But at the end of the day, I sold that dope. That's not his fault. He just did what rats do. I can't be mad at a dog for being a dog or a rat being a rat, you know? He just did what rats do, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because so, I could tell you that when I got popped on my bank robbery, man, when my mom first told me that she was sick, and, you know, the first thought that came through my mind is I started blaming the rat that put me in there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a long time to work through that. Like I did a lot of work to work through avoiding blaming that rat, you know? You know, I came to the terms like, you know, I know who this rat is, I know where they are and all that stuff, but it's not even a thought in my mind because I let my resentments, you know, I push them aside, man. I just bury them in the past. You know, I understand that I put myself in there in that bank robbery, you know, and honestly, brother, if that person didn't rat me out, I was probably going to be doing a whole lot crazier shit. And I would have either died before my mother died, which would have been horrible for her, you know, because I learned a lot of things, man. I learned she wrote a letter. She wrote an impact letter to this program that I was in the feds. And she basically broke down everything that I had put her through over all these years that I never even realized. How many sleepless nights, how many times the phone ring that she would be in straight terror mode, thinking that it was the cops, saying that they killed me because, you know, I'm known for fighting the cops. I'm known for running from the cops, duking it out with them, all that. And she knew that because she seen me do it, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I had a cop rush upon me in the alley of my house when my mom was coming home from work, and we're here duking him out. You know, me and the cop. You know, I was just a kid at the time, but she already knew that I was like that. And you know, it's the one thing that I could say, brother, is that your mother is extremely proud of you right now, and I'm proud of you, and I think everybody should be proud of you because not many of us could maintain the level of peace and humility that you're demonstrating. I mean, even right now, you could see it in your eyes, man, that you have a lot of pain, but you have learned how to cope with it real well, man. I commend you for that.
It's a daily job. I literally wake up every day and have to look in the mirror and give myself a prep talk. I wake up at 5 a.m. to go lay brick and block, and I have to decompress and give myself a little pep talk still 4 years later. April 28th was 4 years.
And how old are you now?
I'm 35.
35. You mentioned something about your light flickering, you know, and you believe that was the spirit of your mother. I could tell you, that spoke volumes to me. And I paralleled it to my own experience because I don't know if you remember me telling you yesterday, but when my mother died, she didn't want nobody mourning her. She didn't want anybody to like have sorrow and have a funeral and a viewing and all. She didn't want none of that stuff. All she did is she donated her body to science. That's what she did so that they could study her body and use it to help people, you know, because she felt, what good is my body in the ground if you know, my body can't be used to help people. And it's weird because the research facility that was acquiring her body, like they had to send all this release forms to me for me to sign. And the counselor that was in the prison was like, I mean, she was like white as a ghost. Like, I have never read any kind of paper like work like that ever in my life. She goes, are you okay with, you know, are you going to be okay with seeing what's on this form? And I said, yeah, just shoot it to me. And I mean, they were talking about the examples of what they were going to do with her body, like, you know, sitting her in a car and crashing her into a wall, you know, blowing her up, all kinds of different stuff, just to see what would happen to somebody in these certain, you know, they'd set her somewhere and, you know, like shoot her and all kinds of stuff, right? At the science lab, it was a forensics science lab. You know, I thought maybe, well, they donate her body to science, you know, it's going to go to like study her cancer or something like that. But no, man, you know, but at the end of the day, it said in the notes that, you know, Linda Rutherford's last wishes were to be donated to science for whatever reason. So I had to respect her wishes, you know?
Yeah.
And I signed that paperwork. And the strangest part is I was in the feds in Florence, Colorado. I was in the mountains. Right? Florence, Colorado, FCI right there. And my mother was like way down deep in South Texas at this time when she died. And out of all the places in the world or in the country, anywhere that she could have gone, they took her body to Colorado Springs, Colorado, which was just, they literally had to either drive past the prison to get there or they flew her body overwards, of which I found out later they flew her body over the prison to get to Colorado Springs from Texas. Out of all the places in the world her body could have went. You know, and it was weird because, like, I had a dream after I signed all that paperwork that my mother was, like, you know, flying in the air. She was, like, hovering over me. you know, and I tell it, it sounds cliche and it sounds silly, but it's true. I had that dream, and I remember I was telling, because I was in a drug program in there, a cognitive thinking program, and I was telling people in the group that I had a dream last night that my mother was like flying over me, and then to find out that she actually flew over me was kind of strange. But you also told me that that's not the only strange thing, that you said that your 3-year-old actually looks up at the stairs.
Oh, yeah. And yeah, you heard my son tell you yesterday too, my stepson. And yeah, I'll be in the kitchen or something. She hasn't done it lately. You know, she hasn't done it lately, but about 2-3 times this year or last year, she will, yeah, she'll go to my dad's staircase, you know, because my dad and my mom's room is a loft up there. We built a pretty big house, whatever. And yeah, my daughter will go. She's at the bottom of the stairs one time, and she's pointing up and laughing. And she's about 2 at the time, and she never met my mom. She doesn't, you know what I mean? She's seen pictures, so maybe that's where it came from, but I don't know. But you know, so me and my girl kind of stop, and we don't want to prompt her on saying what we think is going on. You know what I mean? So we're just like, hey, what are you doing? Who's up there? And she says, oh, it's grandma. I'm talking to grandma. You know, she's 2 at the time though, so it wasn't said like that, but it was Grammy, you know, how she said it at the time.
Kids, they say that kids have a very strong sixth sense up until when they're about 7 years old, and then they just become a part of the world officially. You know?
Yeah, either my daughter's crazy, or you know what I mean, she talks to her because she'll be in the room talking to somebody. You know, and I got to the point where I already knew, so I stopped asking her, you know? And that's
kicker to this whole thing for the viewers is tell everybody where you're living right now.
I live in the house where my mom passed away.
So he
I don't know
actually
exactly where in the house, but I live in the house that her and my mom designed and built, her legacy. So I stay here.
So he lives in the actual house that his mother passed away in, that she died in. So it's quite possible that, you know, there is a presence of hers in there. I believe in that stuff. I mean, I've seen stuff. I got stuff floating around in my house that I can't explain. But this house that I live in right here is extremely old, and it's got a very long, violent history. I can tell you that right now. What else one thing that you told me yesterday, that you said that you're not really with all this push to like defund the police or abolish the police. Maybe you can explain a little bit of why you don't feel that way in this right here.
I'm gonna touch on that a little bit, JD, for you. You know, I don't like thumbs down, and I don't want negative feedback. You know, and
I don't think you're going to get it in this case, brother, because I think anybody can agree with you on this one.
I think if you've ever had your child snatched or killed, or your mom or your dad, and you've been completely helpless, you'll understand what I'm saying. When I don't have a police force behind me, I don't have search and rescue behind me, I'm locked in a box. They ain't opening that door for no damn reason. So when you abolish the police, where would my mom have been? I would have never got her back. I would have never had answers. Yeah, I could have went all gangstered out and killed him, but that wouldn't have brought her back. I didn't care about him, what happened to him after that. I wanted her body. And so those homicide detectives and that search and rescue and those citizens from my community with their own money and gas and ATVs and time found her. And for that, I'm thankful. Because you know, if there was none of that, you know, where would she be? So
exactly. I mean, people got to realize, man, that there's much more to the whole thing of having a police force than just completely erasing it and shutting it down, because there's a lot more involved in police work and detective work than just pulling people pulling people over or profiling somebody. It's there's a lot more involved. And
Yeah.
all the social workers and pastors in the community and everything that they want to put in their place would have never found this man's mother. They would have never solved this crime. You know, they would have just been trying to
No.
tell people to cope with it. And I mean, who knows, man? Who knows what would have happened? But a big
Yeah.
shout out to those detectives that actually took their time and gave a shit about the disappearance of this woman who's never been in trouble with the law. She's never a drug addict, an alcoholic, anything like that. Just your typical run of the mill, everyday mother who tried to do the best she could with her son and with her family, and turns up to suffer such a tragic end to her life is just, it's heartbreaking. And people should
Yeah.
really be thankful for first responders in a situation like this, because my first response would be to go out there and torture and kill people until I found the answers, until somebody led me to that body. And I may have never gotten to it, and neither would have Noodles.
Yeah.
So do you have any parting words, any words of advice, encouragement, anything you might want to give somebody out there and who's looking to maybe get into the prison system, looking to maybe, I don't know, continue in the destructive path of substance abuse and crime and gangs and whatnot? You got any advice for them?
Yeah, I actually wanted to, yeah, I do got advice, and, I do have something to say, and it's, for the younger generation, mostly, for you youngsters out there that are doing your thing and everything's good, and you're being misled by OGs, and you're being told things that are partially true and partially not. And I know this for a fact because I am now older, and I look back on conversations I had with older people. Look, for you guys, I want you to see this video. I want you to hear my story, and I want, you know what I mean? And I want you to think about the next step you're going to take, and make your next move your smartest move. And because once you get locked up, I didn't think it would happen to me in 100 years. You think I thought that would ever happen? I've done so much time with my mom. Did you ever think that I thought that would happen? I did not. It happened to me. It happened to her. It's serious. Prison is serious. Prison, in prison, you ain't going to find no comfort either. They're not going to care. The average inmate ain't going to, that's just another story to them. You know what I mean? So for them youngsters out there, man, that are making mistakes and messing up, if you love and respect your mother or your father, or you have something good in your life, hold on to that and make better decisions. You know what I mean? If you suffer from anxiety or depression, you know what I mean? Reach out to me on IG or whatever. Is that all right, JD? All right.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Reach out to me, talk to me. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to put it on blast. It ain't for publicity, man. I suffer from depression and anxiety. I'm a little neurotic. You know what I mean? I suffer from PTSD from this situation, from another situation that happened. And if you suffer from them things and you're watching this video, man, just know that the sun's going to come up tomorrow, and you know what I mean? There's light at the end of the tunnel.
Show him the picture of your mother you have right there. There's his mother right there. That's shortly after she gave birth to him.
That's her in her 30s. Yeah. And then this right here I'll show. You can read that.
Yeah. I see it.
Her right there. Yeah. She's always with us. So.
All right, my man. I'm gonna do something a little differently with closing this one out. Normally we close this out with the typical Prison Break Raw closeout, but we're not gonna do it this time because I just don't feel that it's appropriate in this situation. But what I do want to do is to just have a little moment of silence, and then we'll say our goodbyes and just leave the viewer to ponder and meditate upon this whole story. So, just for a moment of silence. In the memory of Tony Davis, know that she is resting in peace, and she has a very strong son. And I thank him for choosing this channel to share his story, and I hope that many of you will reach out to him. I'll be leaving his IG in the message column, and I'll pin it, and I will also leave it in the description of this video. But until next time, thank you for choosing Prison Break Raw. You guys all stay blessed and stay strong, and we out.